Hey folks, welcome back. This is another found footage? No. Stuff I found on my mini in-home sales appointments. So a couple of years ago, I was at an appointment in a place called Riverbank, and this customer had some vintage stereo equipment. She was the original owner. I would say she was probably 70s, late 60s. Anyway, I said, oh yeah, vintage stereo equipment, Marantz equipment. And my buddy Jonathan, huge shout out, he has a Marantz AM/FM receiver cassette deck. And I always knew that stuff was like really quality stuff from the 1970s. So she said I could buy it. And then a year went by and I hadn't bought it. And I didn't really need it because I have my 80s Technic stuff here. That's kind of basic, but whatever, it works. And a friend of mine, a buddy of mine down in Orange County, he reached out to me, and he knows that I'm a big collector of LP records, as you can see on my hoard back behind me, and he wanted to get into the vintage hobby. So I thought of that customer, and I looked through my emails and found her information, and I emailed her and said, hey, you know what? If you'll sell me that equipment, I'll pick it up as is. And she sold me the turntable and the Marantz receiver and gave me a copy of the Beatles White Album for free. She threw it in, but the equipment she sold to me for $350, and it had some cosmetic damage. But I have a guy in Modesto, California, stereo advisor that I've used before. Took it into him. $877 later, it is fully restored for my friend, who will now... My parents are coming up from Orange County this weekend, and they're going to pick it up and bring it down to him. So this is kind of more of a show and tell. I'm not going to hook up speakers and play it because I don't have an extra set of speakers and I don't want to disconnect all my stuff. I did plug in the receiver, and we'll kind of go over now the total amount that we're into the equipment for, potentially what it's worth to the right person, and I'll turn it on and you can see the display. So bear with me as I pan the camera around. So here it is. It is the Marantz 220 Model B, 220B stereophonic receiver. And apparently you can take this out. This was like an upgraded case. There's another just stamped sheet metal case if you don't want to have this big thick wooden case. So this is a real wood veneer. It's press board on the inside, but it's wood veneer on the outside. And when I got it, this was kind of caved in. He kind of straightened it out and cleaned this up. This whole back part was completely gone. There was pieces of the veneer, but he has reattached what veneer was left and filled in the rest with matching wood color putty. And it looks 100% better than it did before, because like that much of it was broken off on both sides. And this was kind of caved in, which he has straightened it, and it looks a lot better. So what did they do? We'll get into that in a minute, but you can see it powers it on. It's got the tuner dial here, which I love the way Marantz did that at the time period. All your different options. So this is, there's a cassette deck of the period that would go with this if you wanted to get into that. And then you have your Marantz 6100. He told me that he hasn't seen an acrylic cover this clean in a long time. Original rubber platter there. Speed select. You know, you got your weighted tone arm there. I'm not familiar with this. If you guys know what this is, and comment down below, because I'm interested to know what that is. And I know you can find owner's manuals for this online to set it up correctly when my friend gets it. So it's got your cueing arm, your reject to stop. It's just really cool. So that's the equipment. Now we'll get into what was done to the equipment to get it back into the working state. We'll power this down. So I have here the parts that he replaced. Lots of capacitors and fuses. There's this huge piece right here. 12-volt DC coil. So he gave me back all the original parts that he replaced. So it says Marantz 6100, wash and re-lubricate motor, replace belt, replace cartridge. The original RCA cables were damaged and someone had crudely repaired them with electrical tape. So he replaced the whole RCA cables. Calibration of unit. That was $265.45. The Marantz 220 or 2220B receiver, repair protection circuitry, replace one relay, one transistor, 4 capacitors, replace all dial and meter lights, back filter, clean and all switches, lubricate controls, general cleaning and calibration and repair to wood case. $417.32. So the total is $877.81 once you paid for all the diagnostics and everything. We have researched this. I don't know if this is a higher end one. I think it's kind of more on the mid-range. Both of them are kind of mid-range, but they're nice pieces, and I like that I got them from the original owner. This on its own seems to be selling for around $1,000 in good working condition, and both of them are now fully serviced and ready to rock. But that's kind of your foray if you want to get into vintage stereos versus newer modern stuff. I mean, that cool brushed stainless steel faceplate, those awesome blue LED lights, the way that the dial is, it's just so cool. It just has so much more character than a modern stereo that you could go buy. And yes, you're into it for about $1,100 total, but you have a really cool, unique vintage system to show off to all your friends. So that's my little foray for you guys today. And I hope my buddy Nathan enjoys his new equipment that was found in the wild. Until next time, we'll see you then.